Hey, this is Mark Rodriguez. You're watching the Video Game Masters. And this is the last episode. They're taking a look at these lost reviews, this secret lost footage that used to be only on LBRY and Odyssey, but is now brought back to you to YouTube and the Video Game Master Show. So today, we're going to take a look at X-Men vs. Street Fighter and King of Fighters 13 Global Match. Now when it comes to X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Jupes and I already checked it out at least a little bit when we were at Datcade. But you know how it was. It's an arcade bar. We're checking out that game as well as other games. Now we're going to do more of a stronger focus on X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And there's also additional game footage. Special thanks to Brian for their terrible idea. So anyways guys, let's check it out.
Datcade has over 75 different types of arcade games, pinball games, 6 skee-ball lanes, and 4 all-star hoops. They also have a great selection of craft beers, but this time around we're just going to focus on the X-Men vs. Street Fighter arcade game.
X-Men vs. Street Fighter hit the arcades in 1996 and it combined the characters and sprites from X-Men Children of the Atom and the Street Fighter Alpha series. You get older characters like Cyclops, Magneto, Ryu, and Bison, but also new characters Rogue, Gambit, Sabretooth, and Cammy.
Even though the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise technically started with X-Men Children of the Atom, this is the first game to have the characters cross over. One noticeable character is Cammy, who makes her debut as the Killer Bee before she was officially added in Street Fighter Alpha 3. She was a hidden character in Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold, but could only be used in versus matches. The game favors the fast-paced air combo gameplay style of the Marvel games, and the Street Fighter characters have been given bigger and flashier versions of their classic special moves to compete with the X-Men. They can also do air attacks, like Ryu and Ken can now shoot fireballs in the air, for example. The major feature here is that you fight it out in teams of 2, and you have this tag team feature that lets you switch between your characters during the match. In this particular game, the matches are one long round and it doesn't end until you take out both members of the opposing team. You also get these cool screen-filling super combos, and you can even combine both characters to do a tag team super combo. The final boss is the X-Men villain Apocalypse, who turns into a giant screen-filling monster. This starts off the tradition of these giant-sized bosses for the rest of the series, such as Onslaught, Abyss, and Ultron Sigma. It's not over yet though, because after you defeat Apocalypse, now you gotta fight it out against your own teammates to see who beats the game.
While we all love the tag feature, this caused a lot of problems for the home consoles at the time. The PlayStation just couldn't handle 2 characters switching back and forth without loading, so they just skipped the feature, making that version very limited. The Sega Saturn could do it, but only with the help of a 4 MB RAM cartridge. But then that cartridge was never released outside of Japan. So unless you did some imports, Saturn owners were also screwed.
X-Men vs. Street Fighter was a lot of fun, and I like the fact that they added new characters too, and not everyone just being cut and pasted from the previous games. I love the big flashy moves and the crazy tag team supers, and one character in particular that's pretty cool is Rogue, because she can use her mutant powers to steal everyone's special moves. That's pretty awesome. The music's pretty cool, the stages are awesome, and it was a big surprise seeing Apocalypse become this giant threat instead of just a traditional one-on-one fight. It's a real shame that they never re-released this game on modern consoles, especially since nowadays they can handle the tag team feature.
Okay, so it's actually, it's been a long time ago since the last time I played this game, but from what I remember, the first impression of X-Men vs. Street Fighter was just phenomenal. I mean, imagine having the most popular Street Fighter 2 characters versus the most popular X-Men characters. That's just crazy, but I mean, imagine being Ryu and Ken fighting versus Wolverine, Cyclops versus Chun-Li, and so forth. So I think that the game was pretty awesome. The graphics look pretty good. Now, of course, the graphics were pretty much a cut and paste from the Street Fighter Alpha series, but it was cool to see the X-Men characters in that animated style as well. And I don't know, I just liked the game, and it just seemed really cool, and the whole tag team action, that's pretty awesome. And it's one of the first games that have done that before they had the other sequels doing that. So you know, it's a good game, it's a good classic, and I think that if you've never have played it before, you should still play it because I think it's still worth it.
Oh man, that's what I really call a nostalgia trip. It's too bad they can't bring that game nowadays. It's just not fair, you know, because back then, the consoles at the time could not handle the tagging in and out without the game locking up or freezing or whatever, or just flat out, like, remove the feature altogether. And most of it was because it was still, like, the CD consoles were still new back then, and you had to, like, load a new character, so it was a problem, like, loading a new character into the game, like, during live gameplay, so that's why they couldn't do the tag team games. And even other games that didn't have tag team, like the King of Fighters series, that's kind of a, you know, round by round basis, like, the rounds would still load in between because you couldn't, like, load a new character fast enough. And then, like, Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, that's known for transforming to other people, like, the game would lock up for, like, half a second or whatever every time he would transform because, again, you're loading another character. But, you know, that was back then. Nowadays, you got the more modern Marvel vs. Capcom games. You got Dragon Ball FighterZ, we got Dead or Alive: The Last Round. You got other games that are either tag team games or games that got tag team features. And you can, of course, tag in and out without a problem. So it kind of sucks that we can't have that game nowadays. That would have been fucking awesome. Like, imagine, like, Marvel vs. Capcom, The Secret Wars, or something like that. Some kind of cool comic book-based subtitle. The Secret Wars, The Infinity War, whatever. And have it be like X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes. I keep adding verses. X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, the original Marvel vs. Capcom, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like, all the sprite-based games in one big collection. That would have been fucking awesome. That would have been like a day one buy for me. You know what I mean? Like, just do it, Capcom. And I know it's tough nowadays because you gotta get the permission not just from Marvel, but also from Disney, but just fucking do it somehow. And also release Tetsunoku vs. Capcom. It was only on the Wii, so release that bitch on other consoles, man. You know, but that's neither here or there, like they say. But right now we're going to check out King of Fighters 13, a global match. It was re-released for modern day consoles and the PS4. And yeah, Johnny and I loved King of Fighters 13 back then. So we're going to take another look back at this game nowadays. So many years later, does it still hold up? Let's check it out. The original King of Fighters 13 came out back in 2010 for the arcades, the Xbox 360, and the PlayStation 3 by SNK Playmore and Atlas. This new Global Match Edition was released for the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch this past November 2023. The story continues after King of Fighters 2003 and King of Fighters 11, we don't talk about King of Fighters 12, as the group called those from the past are out to break Orochi's seal to use its power for their own evil ends. Ash Crimson has stolen the sacred treasures from Chizuru and Iori in the previous games, which is why Iori doesn't have his fire in this version. You get several modes in this game, including a detailed overall story mode and a separate arcade mode to get the endings for each individual team. The game gives a lot of story to the characters, and everyone gets their own detailed pre-fight dialogue in the single player modes. Of course, you also get the versus modes, either offline with a buddy, or online and rank matches and player matches. There's also a mode where you can customize the colors for the characters and their outfits. Like the other games in the King of Fighters series, you fight it out in teams of 3. The game brings in EX moves, which are more powerful versions of the super moves if you use both punch or kick buttons to do them instead of just a singular button. You can also use drive cancel, that basically cancels your normal moves into your special moves. You can also activate the hyperdrive mode when your hyperdrive gauge is full, and you can do unlimited drive cancels before the bar runs out. You can also cancel your desperation moves into your super desperation moves, which is called the dream cancel. And you can also get the super ultimate versions of the super desperation moves called the Neo Max move. The final boss this time around is Saiki, Ash Crimson's ancestor and the leader of those from the past. At first, he unleashes his larger, more demonic form, which is extremely cheesy, as all SNK bosses are, and afterwards, he takes over Ash's body in a last-ditch effort to succeed in his plans. Get ready for massive fireball spam, even worse than regular Ash. And finally, the global match version allows you to use all the characters that were previously either unlockable or DLC the first time around. Originally, you had to unlock Billy Khan and the human version of Saiki, and you also had the DLC characters, the Nest style version of Kyo, the Flame style version of Yori, and Mr. Karate as its own separate character. But now you can just use them all right off the bat. Alright guys, so my thoughts on King of Fighters 13, my overall thoughts, because it is basically, you know, just a re-release, it's the exact same game and everything. The game is a lot of fun, and of course the big thing is that it improved a lot over King of Fighters 12, which is pretty much an unfinished beta copy with very few characters and no ending, no story, no nothing whatsoever, not even a final boss or anything, you know, for that game. So this game brought in more characters, you have your established teams of 3, you got your endings, you got a very complex story mode with very like detailed stuff going on with Ash and all the other characters like behind the scenes and stuff like that. You can also like select your path and stuff during the game, so that's pretty cool. And you know, just adds to the replay value. And of course, you know, the classic arcade mode where you have, everyone has like their own separate endings and stuff, so that's pretty cool. The gameplay itself, what can I say, is as fun as I remember. Very fast-paced, crazy combos and stuff. Love the character graphics, love the stages and things, love those screen-filling Neo-Max death moves. Those are fucking awesome. I love the cinematics of it and everything, which is pretty awesome. Of course, the graphics are pretty cool. The only thing that King of Fighters 12 actually did do was like brand new graphics and everything compared to the older games from King of Fighters 96 and onwards. They were just reusing the same graphics over and over. At least King of Fighters 12 had new graphics, so King of Fighters 13 expanded upon that with the newer characters and stuff like that. And I gotta give credit for them bringing back Raiden and Hua Jai of all characters from the first Fatal Fury. That's pretty awesome, bringing him back. And he's pretty awesome too. He's pretty crazy, pretty high speed and everything. Okay, now for the actual differences, there really aren't many because again, it is just a perfect recreation, just bringing this game back to more modern consoles. The only thing that I've noticed, of course, is pretty awesome. You can pick all the characters now. You can pick the previous DLC and unlockable characters like Mr. Karate, any Yori with his fire powers and stuff like that. So that's pretty awesome. You don't have to like unlock them anymore. And the other thing too is that the backgrounds don't move during online play. Like, you know, when you're playing against opponents and stuff, rank match and all that. That is pretty strange. I guess it's because, to have like a better experience online, you know, less lag. And, you know, the whole rollback netcode and all that kind of stuff. So, I think that's it. The backgrounds move just fine during regular play, you know, like, offline play and story mode and stuff like that. But those are kind of weird. They're just completely stiff during the online play. And these backgrounds in particular has, like, a lot of stuff going on. People just freaking out and cheering and doing all kinds of crazy shit in the background. It is very noticeable how it's just, like a static image in online play. But again, it's not a big deal. It's just a minor thing I've noticed here and there. I've noticed that it's kind of funny because you play the older one, the original Xbox 360 version, the background, it'd be like the reverse. Whenever the game is very slow due to like lag or it freezes up, the people in the background are still moving while you're the one that's frozen, so that's kind of funny. So overall, I really love this game. It was one of my favorites back in the day, and it's great that it's coming back for modern consoles. So I could just go back in there and play it all over again with a whole new generation of new online players. And just in general, I've always liked playing my fighting games a lot more with a PlayStation controller over an Xbox 360 controller. Man, look at how young we were back then. I don't even think those apartments exist anymore. Oh cool, we still got that same chunny wall screw after all these years. Yep, it's still here and it's not going anywhere. And that wraps it up for this episode of Video Game Masters. Like I said before, this is the last one that we're doing this look back at these lost episodes and stuff from LBRY and the Gamer Cauldron. And in terms of the Gamer Cauldron itself, I'm not really sure if we're going to do more episodes or not. Maybe, I mean, I would just consider it a hiatus for now. Because again, the views are just not there in Odyssey. The views are here on YouTube. And we got all our friends working so hard to, you know, be in our show and send game footage and stuff like that, only for no one to watch it. So it's better to have it here on YouTube because at least you guys are checking it out, and that's pretty cool. So after this, we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program of Video Game Masters as we do things like how we used to do it and stuff like that. So stay tuned for more episodes. Once again, this is Mark Rodriguez here. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.